Welcome back to the Triple Threat Wrestling Podcast. I'm Lucky, joined by MVP. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We drop daily wrestling content. Right above me, here's the WWE shop link. Make sure you click that. It's no extra money, just an extra click. Help support your boys at Triple Threat, and then maybe we can afford to have Alexis on here more. MVP, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good. You're looking crisp with that new MacBook.
Yeah. I had to step up my game.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Before we get started, I'd like to apologize for all the content I filmed in. San Francisco. Just your boy's allergies were out of control. I didn't know we signed up Darth Vader to be a special guest on those episodes.
yeah, but it's dedication, brother. You were here. So, no,
Yeah,
it was
it's
good.
like the whole time.
I want to talk about Jeff Jarrett.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Jeff, I am your father. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the top 5 WCW champions ever. It's going to be an interesting topic because there was only like 22 WCW champions. So we're taking half of them. And that's, by the way, including David Arquette and Vince Russo. So, take it with a grain of salt. But all right, MVP, why don't you go first?
Hulk Hogan.
I am a real man.
No. That's WWF. That's
Oh yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah.
It's like I think he was American made.
Yeah.
American. No, but all right. So he left WWE. I don't think he planned on wrestling again after he left, but Eric Bischoff had the idea to bring him in with Turner money. How do you say no to Turner money? His first match was in Orlando at a Bash at the Beach. I think he had Shaq in his corner because Orlando Magic. His first match was a title match against Nature Boy Ric Flair, and he drops the big leg, and his first match becomes the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He's then heel turn and then spray painted the thing.
Yeah. He definitely did.
Yep. I remember getting into wrestling and then seeing, I'm like, why is this belt dirty?
By the way, real quick before you finish, like, okay, that is like a big part of our childhood. Do you know, to this day, I'm 37 years old, and if my window fogs up in the winter when I'm letting my dog out, I write NWO on my door.
For sure.
No matter what.
Say it. When I'm cleaning the stove and I gotta spray the cleaner, I'm writing NWO as if I'm spray painting a belt.
Yeah.
But there's only I feel like this title is only synonymous with two people. I did one, and I think you're gonna do the other. But whether desecrating the belt or throwing the belt down, or Hogan. Yeah. Hogan's my number one.
The big gold. I mean, yeah. When you think of it, you may see Hogan, but when I think of it, I think of my number one as Ric Flair. Ric Flair is, for me, the synonymous with that title.
Absolutely.
And he had great wars for the WCW Championship. He faced Vader, Ricky Steamboat, Sting, Hogan, Randy Savage. One of my favorite title matches is actually at the Slamboree, the Lethal Lottery that they did. I don't know if you remember that. I usually go on little off tangents, but if they brought that back in WWE, I would love that. So the Lethal Lottery was like, they randomly selected people in this tournament, and like Ric Flair and Savage had to be teammates at one point, and they hate each other. But then you'd have like Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner got selected for other teams, so they had to face each other. And it was just a really cool concept. I would love for WWE to come back with the Lethal Lottery, but
for sure.
But Ric Flair, you see him coming out of the entrance ramp with the robe, and he undoes the robe, and you see the big gold sitting there. It's just prestigious, baby. I gotta go Ric Flair all day.
I remember one time he defeated Macho Man, and the storyline went where, he's Ric Flair, he's taking everything from Macho Man, so he had like Miss Elizabeth escorted to the ring too, and then when he unveiled his robe and had the WCW title, it still had Macho Man.
Yeah.
Oh man, this guy, man.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
no, that's good.
My number two just retired. Sting.
To a legend.
um, yeah, he had many great classes with Ric Flair, Nature Boy. I think his matches with Ric Flair catapulted him to the main event scene. I mean, he was always electric, always a crowd favorite with that flat top,
Yeah.
that blonde flat top, the surfer. But then he became the Crow and Sirius, and that's when he really started winning. And then his feuds with the NWO, and he beat he beat Hogan controversially with the was that Starrcade '97?
Yeah, with Bret Hart as the referee, because
Bret,
Hogan just said, no, he shouldn't beat me clean right now. Like, this is what you're culminating to. What do you mean?
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, he's won it a few times, and a personal favorite of mine because I at least 5 times in my life I was in for Halloween.
And for my birthday.
Yeah, for your birthday.
My sister in the sharpshooter, or in the scorpion deathlock, I should say. So
Good
that
times. Yeah, that happened. Sting. Sting is, I mean, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair are should be synonymous with Big Gold, but then just WCW Sting because he never
Yeah.
left.
Yep. Yeah. He's like the Jordan of the Bulls, except he did go to the Wizards eventually. And then he ended up going to AEW and on TNA. But yeah, so my number two is going to be, I'm going to be honest with you. A couple of my picks, like I picked them, but I wouldn't consider them like the greatest champions ever. But WCW wise, they're great. But Kevin Nash did, I mean, at that time, the championship was doing really good because you had the NWO factions, you had the Wolfpack, the NWO Black and White, and Wolfpack was so hot. And then seeing Kevin Nash come out, the crowd singing the Wolfpack's back, and he's got the big gold belt. The only thing I don't like about it, the reason I'm saying I don't like it, and you'll see this with a lot of our picks, is that just the way WCW booked it later on, like, he should not have beaten Goldberg's undefeated streak the way he did, in my opinion. He just should. That was
the cattle pride.
Yeah, it was stupid. I mean, Goldberg should have went for a while, and like Goldberg was built so good that if he was going to lose, it had to be to make somebody. And Kevin Nash just uses creative control to say, no, it's going to be me right now. And that's why I don't like that reign. But, he did have a couple of good matches with Hogan over the belt when they were really feuding, because there was some real life animosity. Hogan and Kevin Nash really had an ego battle. So that was right around the time the Wolfpack came about. But, Kevin Nash is beating people like Goldberg, DDP, Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner, Booker T. So he did.
But then also the way he lost the title.
Oh, the finger poke of doom. This is going to be a lot more different episode than the WWE Champions, because I love my picks, but some of them are like, there's a couple of question marks, and Kevin Nash has a couple, but he's still, if you're looking at WCW Champions, he's definitely in the top 10, and I got 5 and you got 5, so he's in there.
Okay. My next one, Goldberg.
Yeah.
He on the most no memorable streak, 173-0. I think he won the title at 108 or 109.
Yep.
He had to beat Scott Hall before they let him face Hogan, but then he faced Hogan in that Georgia Dome, that sold out Georgia Dome. They sold that out. What they announced it on Thursday Thunder.
They did.
And
JJ
then
Dillinger, right? JJ
yeah,
Dillinger, yeah.
no, JJ Dillon.
Dylan, yeah.
Doug Dillinger, I think, was
Yeah,
the
that's who I'm thinking of.
head
Yeah.
of security. JJ Dillon announced it on Thursday Thunder, the Thursday before the Nitro, and they still sold it out. Just imagine if they saved it for a pay-per-view, how much money they would have made.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's why I say WCW booking is. I'll let you finish, and I'll give you my 2 cents on it. But yeah, they vote on that.
Loses it in horrible fashion because of a stun gun. I mean, me looking back at it, I guess it would be an innovative way for someone to lose the title, like stun him,
Yeah.
And he even said himself he wanted the ones with the barbs and to really stun him for real, but I guess it's not legal to do that. He kind of won it again. I remember at Halloween Havoc, he beat Sting for it, but it was never fully sanctioned, so that didn't go through. So he's a one-time WCW champion, but it was a while. I do remember when he did lose it. It started to get stale. I remember me and a couple of friends were like, I wonder who takes it off of him. They need to do it soon.
And I think that if we should actually do a mini series on this podcast channel, I would love to do a series of like breaking down big moments in WCW and like how we would have booked that versus how they did it. Cause like you can't announce on free TV that Goldberg is going to face the Hulk Hogan. Yeah. And then you give it away 4 days later on live TV. We were in Alabama at the time for a family vacation. And do you know how hard it was to get TNT down there in the hotel? And I'm like, I got to see it because it's going to, whatever. But if they would have built that properly and dude, I mean.
Oh, for sure.
You should have saved that for like a Starrcade because that's your WrestleMania.
That's your WrestleMania. Yeah, Starrcade.
Goldberg should have won it, something like that. But on Nitro, and it was kind of overbooked because it's Hulk Hogan. You got people running out from the NWO and whatever. But we should definitely do that. I would love to do how we would have booked moments in WCW. Maybe they'd still be around. You never know. But I digress.
Armchair booking.
Number 3 on my list, Ron Simmons. Because now this is before WCW gets all wonky, but so Sting is supposed to face Vader for the championship, and Sting is injured. He can't, so they have a raffle, and they figure out the number 1 contender with a raffle, and Ron Simmons wins that, and he faces Vader and he wins, and he's like, one of the first minorities in WCW history. I think he is the first to win that championship, and especially
the
back
first
then,
black heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's in the late 80s where, that wasn't really common. Unfortunately, we still had stuff going on in the country where it wasn't always equal for minorities. And for Ron Simmons to win the big gold belt, off of a very good competitor, Vader, I think that's great. And I think it was awesome. And, that's why he's on my list. He's a good champion. And, I like Ron Simmons. He's done a lot of good stuff over the years, good characters. I mean, all his characters feel like different people. You have Nation of Domination, Farouk. You have him in WCW as Ron Simmons. You have the Acolytes Protection Agency, the Acolytes version of him. Like every version feels like a completely different person, which is, not many people can do that.
Farouk Assad, that like gladiator warrior.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how he won the championship out of Vader, Farouk Assad. But yeah, I'm going Ron Simmons.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great pick. I'm gonna go with five-time WCW champion Booker T.
Can you dig it? Hogan, we coming for you.
And Hogan didn't want none of that because he ducked out, leaving Booker T to come in and take the title from Jeff Jarrett.
Sure did.
Um, yeah, he's 5 times WCW champion, and as soon as they happened, they just ran with him. He spent a long time as a tag team wrestler with his brother, and then they finally let him break through that ceiling and become world heavyweight champion, and told a lot of good stories with Jeff Jarrett, with his ex-wife, like Jeff Jarrett swung the guitar at his ex-wife, like, man. And they really worked the knee storyline because Booker T always had a knee injury during that storyline arc. And then he also had matches with Scott Steiner, beating Scott Steiner at the very last Nitro to be the 5-time WCW champion, and then going to WWF with the WCW championship.
Yeah, for sure. Booker T is wait, you just said it, and I didn't quite catch that. So you mean that he did they book it where he brought the WCW championship and was defending it in WWE, or did they have like a vacant?
Yeah. No, so I guess that last Nitro, they made it so like everybody that the WWE were keeping would be the champions because they were going to keep Scott Steiner. Yeah. So they had Booker T with the WCW and the US titles. And then he brought them into the company and lost the WCW championship to The Rock.
Yeah. So there you go. It's a good pick. My fourth one is going to be Lex Luger. Now, the torture rack was phenomenal. Lex Luger had 2 runs. One, he faced Barry Windham back in the 80s. Very good, match at the time. And Luger, he just had that physique. You knew that he was going to be a good champion, and that was great. And then he is one of the few people to actually beat Hollywood Hulk Hogan on free TV for the WCW Championship. But Luger did that. And he didn't hold it for too long, but Lex Luger, in my opinion, from the first Nitro on, was always one of the pillars, right? The corner pillars of WCW.
Pillars.
The pillar. Yeah, whatever. No pun intended. Rest in peace, Miss Elizabeth. But, the pillar of WCW. You can't think of WCW without like Lex Luger, Sting, Hogan, Flair. Luger, he deserves to be on the list. So I got Luger at number 4.
Okay. My number 5.
Self high five. Poof. And then he went to do yoga.
The 2-time WCW champion, Diamond Dallas Page. He spent a lot of time in the mid card, feuding over the U.S. Championship. I knew he had a couple of pretty spectacular matches against Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they finally, same thing with him. New blood. They start pushing the younger guys, and he wasn't younger. He's an old man when he got in, but other than The Rock, he was the other guy in wrestling to be known as the People's Champion.
Yeah,
he was the People's Champion of WCW, and to not let him have a chance to run with it sooner was a travesty because he was so over with the crowd. And he became a 2-time WCW champion. What I would love to see is when he finally joined the WWF, the WWE, is him feud against The Rock in a People's Champion versus People's Champion match. That would have been so great.
Yeah. And then after that, he could face Randy Orton in a RKO versus Diamond Cutter match.
The Battle of the Cutters.
Yeah. DDP's a good pick. He's one of the heart and soul members of WCW.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so my fifth pick, I told you guys, if you're listening and you made it this far, WCW didn't have a lot of great champions because it just was, we mentioned all the big names, and then you get to a point where like Vince Russo,
David
Arquette, yeah. So my pick is David Arquette. No, I'm just kidding. I had to go with the Giant. I had to go with the Giant. Yeah. Only because similar to Hogan, when he came in, he won it like his first match. The Giant won his like first match against Hogan, which, by the way, very overbooked because Hogan literally murdered him by throwing him off the roof of the building, and then he came out and beat him for the championship. After, okay, imagine telling my children the Giant beat Hulk Hogan after Hulk Hogan threw him off of the roof in Las Vegas at Halloween Havoc. But before they did all that, they wrestled with their monster trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Because they did. Like,
they did.
What? No one would believe me. But the Giant was, I mean, the next biggest thing to Andre the Giant. He just had the look. He was still a little bit green at the time, but
he grew a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a little bit. He had no
repertoire.
He should never have been WCW champion.
Well, but he was.
It was still memorable. Anyway, it was still memorable.
Yeah, it was a memorable one. And like I said, I mean, he ended up being one of the greatest wrestlers we've ever seen. Just longevity for a person his size. And he's just a great individual, you know, everything he's done in the wrestling. And, you know, I wish he'd retire now to save his knees. But anyway, the Giant is number 5. So that rounds out our top 5 WCW champions ever. If Alexis was here, I don't even know who he'd pick because we picked all the good ones. And there's like Scott Steiner is going to be one of yours. Or
I mean,
you know, like, so yeah. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We drop daily wrestling content. We appreciate your support. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers. We truly appreciate it. It's mind-blowing how much support this channel's gotten, and you know, we're only getting started. So again, we appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next one.